Volume okay? You guys hear me all right? All right. Everybody sticking around for Skinner, Snoop? Yeah? Quite a tandem, huh? It's going to be, a couple of hours, I think, until the show. Thank you all for joining. Honored to have you all here. I think there's, an astronaut and an astrophysicist down the way talking about stars. So thank you for prioritizing this and coming to join us. Really looking forward to spending the next, call it 40, 45 minutes with you all and sharing some pretty exciting updates that we have around Zoom Phone and specifically our Contact Center Partner Program with you all. This week, we announced 3 new members of our Zoom Phone Contact Center Partner Program. We announced Genesis, TalkDesk, and Nice in Contact. We've got a lot of partners who are doing some really cool stuff with Zoom Phone, and we're excited to share a lot of that with you today. We've got one of those partners here with us today, Five9. Thank you guys for joining us. So with that, just take a quick moment and introduce yourselves. We've got Brian Bitsky and Jake Butterball.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Bitsky, Director of Business Development and Zoom Partner Manager for Five9.
And I am Jake Butterbaugh, the Vice President of Global Channel Sales. Excited to be here.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it. So I'm sure you guys have probably spent quite a bit of time listening to all the feature enhancements and some of the things that we've released around Zoom Phone this week. A massive update. We've rolled out more features and functionality this week as part of the release than we have in any other release. So we're really, really excited about that. We've listened to our customers. Our customers have provided us feedback. Our product, engineering, marketing teams have done a phenomenal job prioritizing those enhancements, those features, that functionality that really makes the biggest impact to your business. Before we get into some of the specifics around the partner program itself and what we're working to accomplish with some of these partners, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the importance of application integration. I think there's been a lot of talk over the course of, call it the past 5-10 years around this migration to the cloud. And I think the reality is the migration to the cloud is here. Customers are deploying cloud applications in droves. And really what it's all about is making sure that these applications work together. I think the importance of being able to stitch multiple applications together into a seamless user experience is absolutely critical. And especially as you look at Zoom, we focus maniacally on customer experience. So a partnership with the likes of Five9 and some of the others that I mentioned as part of this release is really, really important to us as a business. Quick question for the audience. Average organization, how many applications do you think are deployed within that environment for an average organization? How many? 4 to 6. 46. 4 to 6, okay. All right. 150, okay.
Oh, sorry, you see ones on that.
No, applications in general, just general applications. Okay. Well, all right, so these are good numbers. So the answer is it really varies based on customer size. So under 2,000 employees, the average is 73. And you can see these numbers continue to grow. Organizations with over 2,000 employees have an average of 129 applications deployed within their environment. 9% of those organizations have over 200 applications deployed within their environment. Like, to me, those numbers are just, they're mind-blowing. You know, the ability to manage those applications, and manage user experience across those applications is incredibly difficult. And I think this migration to the cloud is really driven by a few things. I think the obvious one is economics, right? No longer do you have to have stuff sitting in your closet and a team of people managing that internally. So I think the economics is pretty obvious. The biggest one to me is trust. I think over the course of the past 2 to 3 years especially, I think the level of trust has been uplifted significantly. I think organizations like ourselves, organizations like Five9 have done a really good job addressing things like data privacy and security. And I think with increased connectivity in the advent of 5G, I think we're starting to see a proliferation of applications within customer environments. And I think also specialized apps. So if you look at Zoom focused on solving a very specific business problem, right? We know we're not everything to everyone. We do certain things very well. We do video exceptionally well. We like to think that now we're doing phone very well. But we also realize that organizations are using applications within their environment that Zoom can't solve problems for. So a core part of our ethos is really enabling you, the customer, to consume Zoom in the manner in which you choose, integrated with the applications that you're using within your environment. As an example, Microsoft, right? We do a lot of integrations with Microsoft where customers say we want to use Microsoft Teams for core collaboration or team collaboration, but we want to use Zoom for voice, we want to use Zoom for video. And we enable that. The customer is ultimately at the heart of everything that we do. And with the advent of Zoom Phone and the growth of Zoom Phone, one of the things that we're hearing more so than anything is the need for integration within contact center. Contact center customer experience, it's a mission critical business process. It's important to your organization, how you operate, how you retain customers, how you acquire customers. And the reality is we don't have that functionality built into Zoom Phone today. And so what we're really excited to announce is what we're doing around the Zoom Phone Partner Program. As I mentioned back in March, we announced Five9 and Twilio as inaugural members of our partner program. And this week, as I mentioned, we have now included Genesys, NICE inContact, and TalkDesk as part of our partner program. So it's never been easier to integrate your contact center of choice with Zoom Phone to provide that seamless experience across your end users and the agents on your contact center platform. So a couple of key benefits that you get with this. We have direct SIP connections between the Zoom Phone cloud and the customer experience cloud of your choice, bypassing PSTN, making you more efficient as an organization. Automatic call routing. You can now route and forward calls from auto attendants and queues to agents within each of these contact center environments. And to me, the most exciting thing is the joint roadmap and the investment that our partners like Five9 and Genesys and some of these others are making. We have engineering, product, sales, marketing alignment across our organizations, and you can expect to see future roadmaps where we're bringing a flurry of new enhancements together to help you become more efficient as an organization. So think of things like presence and leveraging Active Directory integration so that you can route calls efficiently to the agent who has the most context. So with that, I'd like to bring the Five9 group up, Mr. Butterbaugh, to talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that you guys are doing with Zoom Phone.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And thanks for jumping off the slide with our competitors on the screen. So, yeah. So thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. We're going to talk a little bit more about Five9 and the state of the CCaaS industry. But I got to start out with this. And I don't know if any of you guys have heard this saying before, but anybody ever heard the "you never want to be the first monkey in space" theme? I bring it up, and I can't resist it. I wasn't going to use it, but when I got here, and this is my first Zoomtopia, and I'm just really having a great experience. The whole Zoom Happy theme really kind of, lives throughout all of this, and hopefully you're all feeling it this week. You see the astronaut theme and the out of the world theme, and the first thing I thought of was what my mentor used to say to me. He's like, nobody wants to be the first monkey in space. But that's only the first reason why I bring it up. The second reason why I bring it up is because I got to ask you, for all of you in the room, relatively small room here, how many of you have experience with Five9, either in your environments or as a customer or as a partner? Yeah, okay. So a good number, a handful, right? But ultimately, I use the nobody wants to be the first monkey in space because I recognize a lot of people don't know who Five9 is. And I'll start out by saying this. We've been around for 18 years. We are the intelligent cloud contact center solution in the industry. We've been doing this and growing year over year, quarter over quarter, very consistently for quite some time. We've got thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of agents, millions of interactions that we help and support every single day. So this isn't our first rodeo. And as a cloud contact center company that's been around for 18 years, we were cloud before cloud was cloud, right? So we've been doing this a long time, and we've established quite a bit of experience and credibility in the market. And hopefully through this conversation, some of you say, hey, I want to take a look at that, right? But we're really excited about what this relationship can bring to us. So the power of Zoom and Five9 together is very substantial. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, and we'd love to share with you the roadmap, the integrations, the interactions that we can deliver, and dive into it more. Also with us today, I'm going to highlight that we have our VP of Product, Jim Hickey, sitting over here with us as well. And there's going to be time in this conversation for questions, right? So feel free if you have a question as we're going through this to just say, hey, wait, what? And we'll take that, or at the end, we're going to have a Q&A as well, right? So I mentioned that we have substantial growth in the CCaaS market ourselves, right? With all the customers interactions that we have. But we've really just barely scratched the surface. There are over 16 million agents and growing around the world right now that have old, antiquated, custom-built, sometimes functional, sometimes not reliable contact center solutions out there, right? CCaaS as an industry is just barely getting going. There's probably only 10 to 15% of those agents that have moved into the cloud. So the opportunity for us as Five9 and the other contact center players that are out there is huge. It's a very substantial and powerful industry, and we have to get it right. And that's what our plan is. That's what our opportunity is as a company at Five9. But as Chris mentioned, cloud's not new, right? Cloud's been out there for a long time. Team collaboration, that's a cloud application, right? CPaaS, that's a cloud application. Meetings, all the things that Zoom does, those are cloud applications, right? Then you have UCaaS. I spent most of my career in UCaaS or in hosted telephony or voice over IP, but I've spent a lot of time migrating millions of users to UCaaS. That market is moving, but it's still not all the way cloud, right? So I'm imagining many of you, probably lots of you as consumers, have on-prem UC today. Some may have UCaaS, and I don't know how many of you have CCaaS, but we just mentioned 10 to 15% of people have CCaaS today, and millions of people are moving to UCaaS. That's where Zoom Phone comes in. And ultimately, the importance of this partnership to us is the connection between UCaaS and CCaaS, okay? So all the time I spent selling and delivering UCaaS, most of the time that decision was being made independently of CCaaS, right? The customer said, hey, look, I need to move off my on-prem telephony. I'm going to move to UCaaS today. And then someday, I'll figure out how to move to CCaaS. That's kind of what happened. And when I was with a different vendor, that's how I sold it, right? Because I knew that their UCaaS solution was good and CCaaS wasn't quite there. With Five9, now that I'm a Five9 guy, I know that we can sell CCaaS entirely independently of UCaaS. We can deliver that for you today and give you a phenomenal experience. Now, when we sell CCaaS, we have the ability to integrate with whatever UC platform that's out there, whether it's Prem or UCaaS. But the power and the potential and the opportunity is for us to tie that together. We really do believe that the combination of Zoom meetings, Zoom Phone, and ultimately Five9 CCaaS is something that can be acquired in unison, and a deployment plan could be built together between our two companies who have a maniacal focus on the customer deployment, okay? So that's the opportunity that we're looking at and why we care so much. That's why we're here and why we want you to care, because we think we can deliver that value proposition to you together. But when it comes down to it, for CCaaS, there's some table stakes. Now, you could argue there's these table stakes similarly for UCaaS as well, but for CCaaS, there's some true table stakes, and we have to deliver this. We've learned this over the course of the last 18 years and all the deployments that we have to get these 4 things absolutely right. So the first is we need to give a pay-as-you-grow, rampable type of solution, and we need to be able to deploy that very, very quickly. One of the cool things I've experienced with Five9 is that most of our deployments can happen in 90 days or less. Now, sure, there's gonna be some contact center deployments that are huge, thousands of agents, that are gonna take months, quarters, a year to deploy. Of course, that's the case, but that comes in where the ramp becomes critically important. That's built into our methodology of what we deliver and what we offer to you as customers. The second is, as you all know, I suspect, agents are everywhere today, right? So it's no longer just a bunch of people sitting in cubes taking calls, right? The agents are out there at home, all over the world. We need to be able to deliver a uniform experience to all of those users, whether they're mobile, remote, or in a different country or what have you. We've learned that and we can deliver that. And the other really important thing that most of the legacy deployments didn't give you was the ability to scale, right? The on-demand capability, the ability to deliver peaks and then back down when you're in the off season. That's something that's built into our model and one of the core things that we have to deliver from a CCaaS perspective. The third, and this really applies to any CCaaS deployment or any cloud deployment, but you need to be easy to configure, integrate, and manage, right? It's really important if you're going to deploy CCaaS that you have the ability to configure and integrate with the tools that you choose. We have a very open platform, hundreds of APIs, hundreds of integration capabilities, and we can walk through that. Jim knows them all off the top of his head. He'll just rattle them off here in a little bit. But we have that capability, and it's a core part of what we deliver every single day. And then the last but not least, every cloud solution needs to have ongoing enhancements and upgrades so that you can keep the pace of innovation, right? That's why you've moved off of prem, and that's why Chris talked about all the apps and why the cloud is so critically important to all of us, right? So that's kind of the basics. That's what our table stakes for CCaaS. You don't get to where we've gotten with year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter growth and all that kind of stuff without being able to deliver these table stakes. But we're not stopping there. So for us, we're going to the next level in terms of delivering contact center as a value proposition. We use the term customer experience is the new business currency, and it really genuinely is. It is all of you as consumers and users and people who have your own customers and people who call into you or that you call out to. You have to deliver the best customer experience. That's your new requirement. The best agent experience leading to the best customer experience, leading to the best human experience is our strategy. And there's study on this. And if you're an analyst or if you're a geek like me, sometimes you really enjoy reading those. This Gartner quote, to me, is a big part of the story, right? 89% of businesses will compete mainly on customer experience. That's a big deal. I believe it, and hopefully many of you do as well. But the whole thing is you live and die whether or not you deliver great customer experience. So that's really important for us as a CCaaS provider to think about that and be able to deliver that and choose the right partners that can help us get there, right? So that's where our strategy is. And ultimately, delivering great customer experience requires the omnichannel capabilities, okay? So I'm sure all of you know that it's not just about voice anymore. You have to be able to deliver in the omnichannel environment in your contact centers. You have to have email integration. You have to have SMS integration. You have to have chat. You have to be able to deliver a superior supervisor experience. You have to have CRM integrations with Salesforce.com and WFO integrations and others beyond that. The omnichannel investment for us is huge. We just did a major release, late spring, and we released 54 major omnichannel-based requirements for our cloud-consuming customers. That's a big deal. That's a lot of investment. That's a lot of R&D. That's a lot of development. That's what we are putting into this platform, delivering it as a cloud, so that you, the consumers, can get that experience as you grow and innovations come your way. That's what we're focused on. But omnichannel's not it. Ultimately, the agent and the agent's ability to deliver the requirements is what's the most critically important, okay? So what we've studied and all the different analysts and studies kind of deliver is that what people really want is they want a very knowledgeable and capable agent that can deliver answers as fast as possible, right? Sounds like common sense. It is common sense, but oftentimes the technology gets in the way of that. If you're using a legacy CCaaS deployment that was built in 1986 and then customized by somebody and barely able to deliver whatever it can, you're not going to get that full experience. And that's where our roadmap with Zoom comes into play as well, right? So we're delivering omnichannel. We're delivering the best agent experience. And what happens if that agent doesn't know the answer and they need to reach out to a knowledge user, right? Or somebody else inside of the company? Well, if that user is using Zoom and has presence and has Zoom phone, you could kick out into that from a 5.9 environment. And then ultimately, that agent is able to answer the question faster, deliver that value proposition, and move on, right? So it's really important. And I want to make one other note on this slide because I emphasized omnichannel first. Voice is still a huge part of the play. And it's still a huge part of our play, and we're delivering that every single day, okay? So the last part of the sort of 5-9 secret sauce, and ultimately what you should look for when you're evaluating your move to UCaaS and or to CCaaS, the last thing you should look for is, maybe not the last, maybe the first, but one of the biggest things you should look for is that deployment methodology that your partners deliver. That's a major area of investment and differentiation for us. We have over 400 professional services resources that are dedicated to helping you get the best out of this platform, right? That whole being able to deploy a CCaaS solution in less than 90 days, that's where our methodology comes into play. We deliver the best in training, the best in implementation, custom solutions. We are highlighted as one of the most flexible CCaaS solutions that are out there. You bring your integration, we evaluate it, we sit down, we build the requirements, we ultimately get that delivered for you. This is what we take great pride in. We monitor our NPS scores based on both our professional service and our customer support, and it's something that we keep a really close eye on because that's what our brand is, and ultimately, as you're looking to get customer experience, that full customer experience as the business currency, not just a contact center solution, that's where this comes in. That's where Chris noted it. Our two companies focus on the customer really match up very well. I think that's really kind of part of how the original partnership got built, is we both had this level of methodology and commitment to your deployments. So we have an aspiration of being at the center of your customer strategy. So we talked about what's on the left here, the customer engagement capabilities. That's your omni-channel capabilities, voice, chat, email, web, social, all of those kind of things. On the right, we talked about the different types of agents, right? You got your in-house agents, your outsource agents, experts, self-service capabilities. All of that are requirements for either your inbound agents or your outbound agents. We have the ability to deliver both, and then we're taking it to the next level beyond that. So we are also taking a AI-based strategy, and we have our AI Genius capabilities that we like to say we're building our strategy on the shoulders of giants. So Jonathan Rosenberg, our CTO, has talked about that quite a bit. If you haven't listened to him, it's a really phenomenal story. There's podcasts out there, and we'd be happy to one-on-one with you about this. But, you know, we talked about the importance of having a smart agent and the importance of being able to deliver the full value proposition. That's where AI comes in, and that's what we're building. We're taking all of what we can learn, and then we're going to offer that to you as customers and to our partners to help you deliver new flows of information and more value that you can give to your customers. It's a big deal. This is where the innovation in this space is really coming, and we're leaning in on that, okay? So with that, I'm gonna let Brian talk a little bit about some of our deployments we've done with Zoom. So take it away.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Chris for including us in this session, and I'd like to give a big shout out to the entire Zoom family for an amazing event. This is my first Zoomtopia, and I plan on being here next year. How many of you are coming back? Just 5? No, everybody. Awesome. Excellent. So I've been in the space for 22 years, in the contact center space. I started when I was 10. I like to say that I've been in the cloud since it was a mist. I've seen the entire growth of the cloud space. And in order to be at the center of your customer experience strategy, there's several things that an application or a company must do. We must be open, we must be scalable, we must be reliable, we must be proven, and we must be supported by a world-class support organization. And Five9 has all of those components. With the addition of the Zoom partnership, why we're so excited is because Zoom fills a gap for Five9 in that UCaaS space. We believe with bringing in Zoom to a contact center and unifying your front office and your back office together, that you're really now delivering a complete enterprise communications platform, all in the cloud. So it's very, very exciting. We have over 3.5 billion interactions we process annually, and that is growing by leaps and bounds every day. In the Gartner Magic Quadrant, for 4 years in a row, since the inception of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, we have been named a leader. And I'm proud to announce for the 5th year in a row, as of this morning, Five9 has been named a leader again. So thank you very much to our product team and our executive leadership team for making that happen. We publish our trust site. You can go to five9.com/trust and see our average annual uptime, 99.992%. We find that to be outstanding in the cloud space. Our strategic partnerships will allow you to complete your solution, whether you're using a Salesforce CRM, Zendesk, NetSuite, ServiceNow, or any of the above, or even a homegrown CRM. Five9 can integrate to that. Let's take a look at our roadmap a little bit. This is a little bit about vision. So this is a little peek into the future. Obviously, we safe harbor this slide. But right now, we announced our partnership in March of 2019. And we already have customers that are up and running as dual Five9 Zoom Phone users, and we're very proud of that. This quarter, we released our UC SDK. In conjunction with Zoom, we developed this integration between Zoom Phone and Five9. But we plan on taking this further. So if you have use case studies, or if you have any case studies that you'd like to share with us, I'd love to spend some time with you and hear those, because we do see video creeping its way into the contact center. I'm not a FaceTimer, my daughters are, my wife is, but I believe that generation is accelerating video into the contact center. In some of the sessions that I've said in this week, I've heard that when you video conference and when you turn on your video and you're making a connection with that person, not just a voice connection, but a face connection, a personality connection. They can see what's behind you. They get a little sense of what you're like, and that builds that trust and that connection even further. So what we plan on doing is in Q4 later Q4 this year and Q1 of next year, we're going to release an adapter for Zoom Phone that will include presence and directory integration. We find that your knowledge workers or your SMEs may not be your contact center agents, and that call that came into the contact center needs to get to an SME that may be on Zoom Phone, as Jake mentioned earlier. With Five9's adapter, you'll be able to take a look at presence, see if that person is available. If that person's not particularly available, somebody in that group might be available, and we can send the call and transfer that call over them. Now, this is all done on the back end via a SIP trunk, so it's no additional toll charges to the caller. So once the call comes into Five9 or Zoom, it's transferred to the other platform via that back end SIP trunk, so there are no additional toll charges. But we look at agent expert chat. We're going to make sure that we can do some chat between the two platforms, and other things like video and screen share. We see things like Teladoc, which is a customer out there that's using video to diagnose customers or patients. We're seeing more and more use cases of video creeping into the contact center, and we plan on being at the forefront of that. Where this vision really came into play, though, was with a customer that we turned up live. And I'll talk a little bit about this customer. This is a global customer. They have 7,000 Zoom meeting licenses, and they were using Avaya. But when we were talking to the customer was frustrated because their customers, which, as you can see to the right there, 50 agents, it's not a big call center, but this call center has high-dollar customers. Every customer is an entrepreneur, so this could be millions of dollars. Every call could be at stake. So what we did was when we were talking to the customer, there was a disconnect between when a call would arrive in the PBX at the front office and couldn't get to the back office or the contact center, and they had to hang up and call another number. That to me is not a great customer experience, and being in this space and pretty hard customer service, I believe in single call resolution. I believe in making it seamless and simple, but this wasn't simple for the customer. And it wasn't simple for the customer's customer. And when the customer's customer makes some noises, people listen and things change. So we talked about how we could address this problem, and we mentioned a partner that we had, Zoom. And as soon as we said the word Zoom, the customer sat up. I think everybody in the tech space since midsummer knows who Zoom is. And we asked if they'd like us to facilitate an introduction. And the customer said, absolutely, I've heard such great things about Zoom. So we brought them in, we sat down, and we held several meetings trying to diagnose the issues. And we laid out our vision, we laid out our roadmap. This is what we see for the future in the contact center. Where the previous solutions had no vision. They were talking with other UC, other voice-first UC providers. And they had no vision. They had no story, no cohesiveness on how they were going to take that customer and merge the platforms or get from point A to point B to point C. We came in and we talked with the customer, understood their issues, and brought in Zoom. And 2 months later, they're live, 5.9 Zoom customer, and we couldn't be happier. Why they chose us? Obviously, for a single solution for meetings and telephony and contact center, it makes everything very, very simple. We were able to deploy in under 2 months, which is unheard of in the enterprise space. Providing reporting, and again, the world-class support that 5.9 provides. And again, the customer responsiveness. People today in the cloud expect a quick response. I know my kids, they expect everything now. Where I was younger, I had to wait maybe a day or two. Now they want it now. We were able to do that. So, and again, we provide the most complete solution in the contact center space. So with that, I'd like to turn it over and ask if there are any questions, but I'll turn it back over to Chris and Jake.
Thanks. Yeah, any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
So why not integrate with Zoom meetings and Zoom phone?
I'm sorry, why not?
Why not integrate with Zoom meetings? Why is it limited to Zoom phone?
We're pursuing meetings integration with some of these vendors, not all.
Okay.
But some of the use cases that he mentioned earlier, like remote worker as an example, show me what you're seeing type of scenarios. We are seeing video become more pervasive within the contact center, and it's part of our roadmap. Again, not with all, but with some, we are focusing on whether that's building it into the agent UI or doing something along those lines. So it's definitely a focus. Yes, sir.
Are you looking at integrating management and reporting as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would that
You wanna
look
repeat
like
the question?
for a supervisor?
Sorry.
You want to repeat the question?
Yeah, would you like to repeat the
No,
question?
no. So that
Oh, I'm
people
sorry.
can hear.
Yeah, he asked if we were going to integrate management and reporting. It is on the roadmap. It's not something that we have a ton of definition around, so I can't share a lot of specifics. We'd be happy to talk to you afterwards, though. But yes, it's certainly something that we see a lot of value in, our customers see a lot of value in that. So it's absolutely something that we plan to address. Yes, sir. Say no.
Jim, you want to answer our Google partnerships? Yeah. Jim Hickey, ladies and gentlemen, VP of Product for 5.9.
Jim, you move your mouth, I'll answer. No.
Here. Let's do this. Get real close.
Okay. Whoa. Get away from that speaker. That went on for so long, I forgot the question. The question was about Google. What are we doing with Google? So Google, summer of last year, announced their suite of contact center APIs for speech analytics, real-time speech-to-text, topic modeling, et cetera. And they made those available as APIs. So as was mentioned earlier, being able to stand on the shoulders of giants, a lot of the technology in the past, especially if it was prem-based, was completely unaffordable. It was only the very largest enterprises that could ever hope to deploy sophisticated early-stage AI-based applications. And in one step, effectively, Google kind of lowered the bar. They took away a lot of the challenge of the underlying technology having to be a prerequisite and said, here are the APIs. You can consume them. And we've been progressively building those APIs into our applications such that we can use that analysis engines, machine learning, et cetera, under the hood and then surface the value at an application level. So when you see Google on the slide, it's in relation to that contact center API suite that they announced last year.
So wherever Zoom Phone's available, Five9 is available. So, does that answer your question? So North America, UK, correct, currently today.
Primarily North America today with plans to go
Yeah.
global. And our intent with Zoom Phone in particular is to go global across Europe and Asia Pacific as well. So. Yes, yeah. So we would connect at a pop in, hypothetically, the US and EU and APAC as well.
So Five9 has data centers in the US and UK currently.
Yes.
Quick question. Thank you for the presentation. Very, very interesting things. And you very well presented some gap of so far there has been very well differentiated UCaaS versus CCaaS, right? And there has been a gap integrating, at least from the user experience, both things. What is the plan? And I'm sure there must be more than one company like us that when you have the user that is to wear both hats, it's to be UCaaS, it's to be the subject matter expert, and also it's to be an agent, and that can happen indistinctly, and those agents can be distributed worldwide, and the income call worldwide. So you need to interact with the rest of the UCaaS, and also you need to do agent. What is the plan?
That's ultimately in your deployment methodology. That's why we talked about the implementation services. That's what we can deliver now. That's ultimately what we delivered on that case study, right? But that's where it comes into play, where you have to have a tight implementation strategy. And I really did highlight it. Zoom has a very strong customer service organization that's focused on deployment success. Five9 has built our brand on customer service deployment success. So you have to build out the requirements up front, and then you have to build out your ramp, and then you have to deliver.
So this is available now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Any other questions?
Yep, right over here, please.
For a company that left in contact for Five9 this year for customer experience, it'd be nice. And my question is, we're using Zoom Phone. We're a happy Five9 customer. We've got toll-free DIDs. Do we REST-port stuff that may be in an IVR with Zoom Phone, or do we need everything to still be going to Five9? How does that work? Is that something that you're fleshing out?
That is something we are fleshing out, would be the answer I would give. Jim and Beatrice, who sits behind you, could talk about exactly how we're doing that.
We're going to spend the next 3 hours talking about the fascinating topic of RESTborg.
Forget Snoop.
Why is it so difficult? The question was around, well, if you've got Five9 and you've got Zoom, how do you figure out your numbering plan and your call routing and your inter-cloud routing? And you have choice. So in terms of choice, you can choose to use your existing telco and literally bring a SIP trunk to either cloud. You heard about bring your own carrier from Zoom, and Five9 supports that as well. You can choose to terminate and segment your contact center calls on Five9 and your UC calls on Zoom. And if you get it wrong, you don't have to go back out and incur long distance again. We just interwork calls between the two. Or calls that arrive on the Zoom auto attendant that are really for the contact center can get routed over without having to send them back out again. So we give you options. Now, you figuring out your RESTborg, I will leave to you. That is just a delightful topic. I saw some groans and grimaces in the audience when I mentioned that. It is a challenge. Service providers with numbers are very possessive, and they go out of their way to make it difficult for you to move. But if you persevere, you'll get it done. But just figure out in advance, and both the Zoom services folks and the Five9 services folks will figure out the best model for you. They'll work together to do that.
Yeah.
Good question, thank you. Any other questions from the audience?
I think that's it.
Great. Well, thank you all. Really appreciate your time, and looking forward to speaking with any of you afterwards if you would like to stick around. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.